States of America heading towards a recession, yes or no? Well, before we try to answer this question, we need to understand what a recession is. A recession is defined as 2 or more consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. And with Donald Trump's tariffs and trade war, there's a lot of uncertainty in the American market, so no one really knows if there is going to be a recession. I mean, just take a look at the Google search results for recession. One economist says there's a 90% chance, and another one says 45% chance. Who the hell knows? But when you're talking about what actual Americans think, it's best to look at a platform like Kalshi, which is a real-world wagering app where you can wager on pretty much anything, and the general public seems to think there's about a 71% chance. So, what do you guys think? Is the uncertainty in the market going to lead to a recession, or will the short-term pain lead to long-term gains?
So this is bad. This might be one of the most obvious signs that the US economy is in a lot more trouble than we thought. In early summer 2025, the government told us the jobs market was still growing. They reported that the US added. Now, to put this in context, the US needs to add somewhere between 80 to 100,000 jobs per month just to keep up with population growth. But just a couple days ago, the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out and quietly changed those numbers. Now that's not that big of a deal. Revisions happen all the time as the government collects more data, but this revision was huge. This was one of the biggest 2-month revisions since the 2008 financial crisis, and it's second only to 2020. And if you actually exclude the jobs added in healthcare, actually saw a net job loss. Now, why is that such a big deal, right? It's a big deal because in a lot of recessions, the first sign is not a stock market crash or a wave of layoffs. Instead, it's a spike in unemployment. And now the Federal Reserve is looking at a very different picture of the US. Investments are probably down right now. So in this video, we're going to look at what's really going on, why the jobs numbers were so wrong in the first place, and what the government tells us was their reason why. And then I'll explain some of the more interesting theories as to why it might have actually happened. I also want to talk about the recession, the Federal Reserve, interest rates, and what I'm personally doing with my portfolio and how I'm preparing for all of this. So with that said, let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the jobs. Now, here's why all of this is so important. Take a look at this chart right here. This is direct. Now, right now, the unemployment rate sits at around 4.2% as of July 2025. Now that's not really something to worry about yet, but when you combine all of that with the May and June job numbers, which show essentially zero net job growth, then it starts to really paint a scary picture. And this is what economists and investors are afraid of. Now, if these 2 months lost us over 250,000 jobs, it makes people wonder, but what seems to be true is that we lost around 89% of jobs in just May and June. And the first question is, what was the reason for how much the government changed their numbers? And here's what they're telling us so far. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, these revisions were just part of the normal process. Every month, the BLS gets more complete data from...
Oh no, this was totally foreseen and predictable. Is this the kind of stellar outcome we can expect from electing a man who has filed for bankruptcy more times than he's fathered children to run this country like he runs his businesses? And what is the thing keeping us from slipping into a national economic downturn? Oh, that's right, blue states, California and New York. And what will likely be the thing pushing those states over the edge? That's right, Trump's tariff policies, such as savvy businessmen and ICE. And this isn't a surprise. We've known for decades that mass deportation policies have terrible economic outcomes. But there is a silver lining. The economic boost from AI has Wall Street trading at near record highs. Wait, what do you mean Peter Thiel sold off all of his Nvidia stake? Sure, that doesn't indicate that there's a problem.
If you are wondering why the stock market is absolutely crashing today, it is because we had the worst jobs report since 2003. Last month in October, companies cut over 153,000 jobs. If we compare that to October 2024, that number was only 55,000. This number was so much higher than anyone ever expected, and a lot of Americans are concerned about rising costs, higher expenses, and AI stealing jobs. If you were one of the 1 million Americans that lost their job this year alone, I am genuinely so sorry for you, and I hope things get better in the future.
We're about to go through the biggest recession that anyone alive today has ever seen. I'm going to show you proof of it. I'm going to show you why. You just need to understand, though, before I show you this, for you and your family, we're going to go through a very difficult financial time. I understand inflation has been rough, but you have to see that this is a very deep recession. It's going to feel very different than what you've been experiencing the past couple of years. Now, this is the 3-month to 10-year inverted yield curve. We've had this happen before, okay? And it has predicted virtually every recession that's ever happened since you or I have been alive. The difference of what we're experiencing right now is the current yield curve is the biggest we have ever seen. The current inversion is the biggest we've ever seen. But if we look back at 2008, right here, okay, it predicted that. If you look back at the dot-com bubble, right here, it predicted that. If we look back in the early 90s, it predicted that time. So this is one of the most accurate indicators to predict what's going to happen in our country. And the trigger signal is when the yields uninvert. And that is what has happened in the past couple months. The American people need to prepare for a very serious recession.
Alarm bells for America's job market are ringing, and doing so loudly. In October, more than 40,000 workers received WARN notices. Those are notices of impending layoffs. It was actually one of the highest monthly totals ever recorded. That spike, combined with the worst October for layoffs in 22 years, is a big troubling sign for experts and may point to bigger issues with the economy moving forward. So we're helping you get prepared for what may lie ahead. Talking with several experts, they say do this. You want to build an emergency fund for you and your family as quickly as you possibly can. About 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. It's kind of hard to do that, right? Given what we know about hiring right now, it remains low and stagnant. You may want to consider things like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, as well as a means of getting some extra income into your household and shoring up your financial reserves. Also, think about reducing your spending as well. Maybe those subscriptions that you really don't use anymore, go through your list, figure out what you're spending money on that doesn't make sense, and get rid of it. Also, pay down your debt. Experts say start with that high interest debt, typically credit cards. And if you're having trouble paying your bills, call your creditors, work out a flexible payment option. We've got our pulse on what's going on with the job market and the economy overall. Like and follow for more.
The Fed just admitted we're in a recession, and they cut interest rates today. For those of you who don't know, the Fed just cut interest rates by 25 basis points. And they also said there'll be 2 more rate cuts this year. So between today and the rest of the year, you're getting 3 25 basis point rate cuts. There's 2 very important things they admitted today. One being recession. No, they did not say the actual R word in there, but they said the labor market, the job market has slowed in growth, okay? And they said the unemployment has started to rise. The Fed is rarely ever going to use the R word, not until long into a recession. But if you look back at previous recessions, this is the exact verbiage they use. Now, the more meaningful part here is they've gone into a rate cut cycle. They've gone from a rate hike cycle down to a rate cut cycle. Well, when has that happened before? March 2020, 2008, 2000? Every single time that this has happened for basically anyone under the age of 50 today, that has equaled a pretty good sized pullback in the market within 6 months and a recession. Every single time, no matter how minor or how big, it causes one every single time.
The biggest recession indicator to me right now is how people react when they find out somebody they know live at home with their family. Because back in the day, you were getting roasted. If you were in your 20s, early 30s, and you lived at home, you were getting cooked. If you watch them old movies, they be telling them, oh, you live at home with your mom, you're a loser, you're not going to get dates, you need to grow up, you need to become an adult. People are not moving like that anymore. You find out someone lives at home with their family in today's world, you like, so bro, you telling me that you don't pay rent and you got a good relationship with your parents? How did you do it? like people that turn living at home from being broke to, oh, I'm stacking. Like, bro, we live in the opposite day. The economy is cooked. It's cooked.
Thanks for clicking to watch today's video, and also welcome back to our channel. America is feeling the heat. What was once sold to them as strategic trade war has really turned out into the exact opposite, and actually it has brought about a financial nightmare to millions of Americans. And you know what, those tariffs that Trump talked about have really, instead of strengthening the economy, they have even made it more worse, and Americans are feeling that burden. And guys, we've prepared this video for you of people talking about the America going into a recession, even if it's not publicly announced, and actually of even people trying to advise people on how and what they can do in this recession period. We do not own the rights of the video, they belong to the original owners of the video. So let's dive in and listen to what people have to say. I'll be back with my commentary, so stick around.
The U.S. economy is on the brink of total collapse in late 2025, and most Americans have no idea how bad it really is. From government shutdowns to looming recession, the warning signs are screaming. Number 1 will terrify you. 10. We're one step away from recession. As of November 2025, JP Morgan Research estimates a 40% probability that the U.S. will plunge into recession by year's end. That's nearly a coin flip. And this is the optimistic forecast. It was 60% just months ago. We're teetering on the edge of economic disaster. Economic growth is dying. EY projects U.S. GDP will barely limp along at 2.0% in 2025, dropping to 1.9% in 2026. This isn't growth, this is stagnation disguised with optimistic numbers. The economy is being strangled by tariffs, immigration crackdowns, and crumbling consumer confidence. 8. The government shutdown broke something permanently. The 43-day government shutdown, the longest in American history, didn't just pause operations, it inflicted permanent damage. According to EY, it carved out 0.1 to 0.2% of GDP that will never get back. 750,000 workers were furloughed, losing $400 million in wages every single day. The government is dysfunctional, and it's costing us everything. 7. Debt interest is devouring the budget. Economics Help reports that America is now spending 4.5% of GDP, 22% of all tax revenue, just to pay interest on our debt. Not roads, not schools, not defense, just interest. We're spending more on debt than we did during World War II, and it's only getting worse. 6. Jobs are disappearing. Unemployment has climbed to 4.4%, the highest since late 2021, and it's accelerating. Hiring has collapsed, with job growth fragile and narrowly concentrated. Translation: most industries are quietly laying people off. Your job could be next, and the safety net is fraying. 5. Tariffs are a hidden tax bomb. The Trump administration's tariff war has created a $430 billion tax hike on American families and businesses. JP Morgan estimates this equals 1.4% of GDP being ripped out of the economy. You're paying more for everything: groceries, cars, electronics, and it's only going to get worse as companies pass costs to consumers. 4. Inflation is back and it won't leave. Inflation hit 3.0% in September 2025 and it's climbing. Tariffs are pushing prices higher, with experts predicting...
I don't care what Republicans have to say about this. We are in a recession. People are struggling right now badly, and it doesn't matter that the stock market is near its all-time highs, because the stock market is not the economy. The stock market is really just a representation of how much money the richest people in our society own, while the people who don't have anything continue to struggle more and more. You just heard today, officially, that inflation is up and job numbers are down, which means stagflation. And we're seeing that there are more unemployed people than job openings for the first time since COVID. There are sector shrinkages that we haven't seen since 2009. And if it wasn't so bad, it would almost be impressive that all of this was manufactured in 8 months by one fucking guy. Because Donald Trump is almost entirely responsible for how bad the economy is right now. Because the only thing Republicans care about is making sure that billionaires can continue lining their pockets, while you are left with nothing.
America is heading into a major recession. I spent the last 3 days talking to my contacts all over the world, including my contacts from Washington when I worked in the Bush administration years ago. And I have some friends at Social Security, pretty high up in Social Security administration, and there's a lot of concerns what's going on with them. People are going to start missing checks, Social Security checks. So I just wanted to put this out as a warning to my friends, especially my entrepreneurial friends, my younger friends around the world that are not big on following economic trends and what's going on around the world and the impact it has on us financially. I just want to say, you're not going to hear this probably from the government, because consumer spending is what controls 70% of the economy. And if the government comes out and warns against recession, more people will tighten up and consumer confidence goes down, which actually can be a major cause of the recession. So my point is this: please hold on to your money. I'll tell you what rich people are doing all over the...
Unless you are living under some kind of rock, then you should know that America is headed towards a recession and more likely a depression. So here's a list of monetary and non-monetary things that you can do to prepare for this crisis. You want to set aside a small amount of cash. Specifically, you want enough to be able to fill your gas tank and to feed yourself and your pet. Find your important documents and have them set aside in case of an emergency. In the instance that you need to leave and you need to leave quickly, you don't want to be scrambling around looking for your passport, your birth certificate, or your social security card. Please have these things safeguarded somewhere close to the exit of your home. Everyone's already been saying this, but please stop purchasing unnecessary items. And now this is a personal one. You can incorporate it if you'd like. No more makeup and learn how to do your own maintenance. This is not the time for that. And the reason for no more makeup is because I don't want to have to go purchase anymore. I will have the makeup if I'm going somewhere important, but for everyday occasions, there's just no reason to be wasting that product. Use this time to invest in your appearance, to take care of your skin, to work out, and to sleep so that you don't need the makeup. Whatever you've set your targeted emergency fund amount to be, double it. So if you've had 3 months, aim for 6. If you've had 6 months saved up, aim for 12. I know that might be difficult. Right now, you need to be focused on securing your housing, making sure that that's taken care of for at least a year, and being able to eat and transport yourself to and from work. I know that does not sound fun, but that is not our focus right now. Right now, your focus is being able to survive this economic crisis. Start the side hustle this year. There's not a better time to start than right now. So if you're someone that's already doing well, this will also be the perfect time to multiply what you already have. You need to be watching the stock market and the housing market, so as the prices of these things fall, you can go in, sweep, and acquire the assets for yourself. Now, what you choose to do will obviously depend on your goals, but this does not have to be a scary situation. It is alarming, but there are steps that you can take to ensure that you will be okay during this time.
For many years, Trump claimed that those tariffs would force other nations to play fair, but the reality really hit hard and actually brought about the increase of prices, and the exports reduced for the farmers. Small business people are really hit so hard, the working class, and even the tariffs that Trump claimed that will protect the jobs of the Americans actually made them disappear. And right now, people are claiming that America is going for a recession because of the massive layoffs. People are really struggling to survive. Products have become so expensive, and the economy is at its breaking point. And guys, so many people are really struggling right now in America, as you've even seen recently. Even during this festive season currently, people are trying to budget and even minimize their costs because of the economy. It has really brought about, a lot of hardships right now to the Americans. And as you've heard in the video, the experts are saying that during this period of recession, many people should be prepared in a way that they should start saving, they should minimize on their spending, and actually they should, learn to save more than even how they spend. And guys, what do you think? Did the trade war and tariffs, were they really worth it, or they even brought more harm than good? Kindly drop your thoughts, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you on our next video.